doing things just a little bit different today. We'll be breaking down the front forks. The goal here is simply to change out the dust covers as well as the oil seal that is inside of the forks. I've already got it pulled off the bike. I had a little bit of a struggle. I'll show you a few things on this. First, you've got the bottom. This is the part that connects to the wheel. The top section that slides in, you can see, has a really deep hex shape. Had a tough time. I thought I had to loosen that first. Fought with that for a little while. There's also a small bolt on the bottom end that you can undo. I fought with that a little while, couldn't get the right size figured out. And finally I saw in the manual that it was a 6mm hex key. And so I grabbed my Allen wrench and I wanted to get it connected. So that part, this is the bolt, connects inside of here. You can see this is pulled apart already from the other side. In here, this is what it looks like. And it wasn't holding the hex key very well. I struggled before, couldn't get it. When I saw that it was a 6, I applied a little bit more force. I didn't hammer it in, but I popped it a few times with my wrench to make sure it held tight. I gripped this part into my vise with a little bit of a towel around it to not gouge it. And it was tight, but I was able to break that. I was so happy when I did it. And the great thing is as soon as that was loose, you can see again where it's connecting. So this is on the outside. This is on the inside of the fork. And so as soon as this broke loose and it came right out, the fork simply slides. And so that was great. And so what I'm going to do today, you can see this one has the seal on the top. I'm going to replace that. And then inside, a little bit harder to replace, is the oil seal. That's held in place with a clamp. So I'll pull that out and then refill it. One of the things to keep in mind as you're doing this, I'm going to turn this over so you can see the fork. By undoing this bolt and letting it drain, you'll drain out all the old fork fluid. It smelled really bad, but drained out the old fork fluid here, and then more came out when I got it off, but not too much. And so today I'll break this down and work on switching those two seals out on each fork and putting in the new fluid. A couple things to keep in mind. I did see a few guys online who they had a tough time getting this to break because this would spin. I didn't have that problem. I did see some people that had to put some things together. I'm glad I didn't have that problem because I was struggling to get it out from the other side. But if you do have that problem, there are some videos online. Looks like it's a little bit tricky, but they found a way out of it. In my case, it broke loose. And I'm not going to do a rebuild of the springs. I'll pull them out and check them out, but I'm not doing a rebuild. I'm simply replacing the oil seal and the dust cover. Now that I have the front forks disassembled, we'll work on removing the dust cover and the oil seal. I'm not planning to do much else with the interior. I will paint the forks themselves. The dust cover should come off fairly easily. With a little bit of help. Well, the other one came off easily. I took the other one off as I was working through pull it before I removed it. There we go. You can see it started here. there's the dust cover. I will be replacing that. You can see it's grimy inside. Replacement for that, so this one I'll just discard. Get it apart. Now this part is a little bit trickier. There is a clip. In fact, it might be, yeah, I'm going to need to replace that clip. You see that? So this clip holds in the oil seal. It'll need to be replaced. My gloves need to be replaced. I ground them up a little bit. The key that I've read on this is not gouging the edge of the piece, these forks. All of this is in such rough shape, I'm not sure if it's going to come out as a single piece or not. Okay, it took me a little while, but I was able to get the seals pulled from the front fork. It was extremely corroded in there. This one wasn't too bad, but one of these, this one you can see was just really corroded. I don't know if that made it harder or if these are just difficult to pull out. I tried to get it out with a screwdriver, it didn't work, but found this at Harbor Freight. Pretty cheap. I won't use it much more than this. I think it was $7 or so, but even with this, I had to put a lot of weight into it. In fact, I wrapped it with a towel here so I didn't score the top. But as I pried, I had to work and find the right angle and really took a lot of effort to get it out. But pulled it out. Now I am going to paint these. I'll get these painted. And so I'm going to store for a little bit. I do believe it's important to keep these separated so that the interior parts match up properly. So I'll label these appropriately and I'll cover up the shock portion. It's interesting, one of the parts that I need to look into is, the internal functioning components. I've never ridden this bike, so I don't know how it's going to function that way, but these overall seem to be in pretty good shape. Let me grab the towel. But you've got the end here, connects on there. I'm probably not going to disassemble these at all because when they were on the bike, like I said, I didn't ride it. They didn't seem too spongy. Mostly just wanted to replace these seals because it was leaking a little bit. So I'll wipe these down, get some new fork oil in there. But for the time being, that's the video. I think it's going to be worthwhile. Just seeing the condition of these parts tells me that was the right move. With the corrosion there, corrosion here, even the dust covers, all that corrosion was working its way up. I do think I'm gonna have to find a way to clean those up, but I don't see any damage to the inside of the fork, so we're in good shape. But all right, so I have the front fork taken apart. I was able to get it out of the aluminum case. However, to get it back together and to check the spring, I need to remove that bolt or nut, I don't know. and I was able to get it together. In fact, I was hoping that it just needed, I could get it apart without pulling this out, but to check the spring, but also to refill the shock fluid, this needs to be out. And so with my other, I was able to get it locked in. You can see I protected it on my vise with this towel, and it took a little pressure. I was able to get this one, so this is the other side. I was able to get it broken just with my wrench, my socket wrench, so that was actually made me happy. But I just wanted to show you. So what I did, I went to O'Reilly's and picked up a socket. This is a 17 mil hex socket, and I just was able to, on the last one, get it broken just right. I did have to tighten this vise down. There we go. See how it broke. So now I can pull that out and check the springs. But anyway, just wanted to record that so you can see how I was able to get that off with that 17 mil. With everything disassembled, now it's simply putting it back together. I did the time lapse here just for the sake of simplicity. The time lapse is going to just show I slide the seals back in. The oil seal is a little bit tight. I did use a bearing driver to get it in there, that way I could hit evenly. As I went in, it slid in there fairly simple, but I did use a little bit of grease on the edges. That clip will hold it in place. Then you simply slide in the fork, return the screw into place, and that small screw or bolt in the bottom will hold it right in there. One key, remember to put in the drain bolt. That will make sure your oil doesn't leak out the top. With everything back together and the tops ready to go, I did have to use a funnel. You have to hold it up a little bit to keep that spring out, but I used the service manual specs, put it all in there, and retightened that cap down again to the service manual specs. I did that for both forks, and it's done. So this is one of those steps that I think pretty quick to finish it up. Hard to get there for me, but it turned out pretty good. Hopefully this is something that is helpful for you as you're working through your forks and getting things serviced and ready to go. Thanks for watching.